Hello and welcome back to the Monsters of Monster Hunter Double Cross, where today we're taking on chaotic Gore Magala. Because while it may not be listed separately in the monster list, it does get its own icon. So we're gonna do it. Plus, it's a really neat monster to begin with. Like, it's got some cool stuff going on. And I do hope we'll get to see a lot of it. And off we go. I'm using aerial switch axe just so that I don't end up failing. Like, it's not the hardest monster in the world, but after what happened with that last Gore Magala, I just don't want to leave things up to how I'm feeling at the time with that particular weapon. Okay, I think it'll start right over in here. Nope, and not even anywhere adjacent to here. Don't see the Dragon Seer. Maybe it starts up there. It's possible. Yep, there it is. So, Chaotic Gore Magala is really interesting. In basically every way, it's a mixture of Gore Magala and Shigaru Magala. Like, as you can see, it's got some aspects of Shigaru present already in a visual capacity. And that's because it's actually... The origin of this guy is, it's a Gore Magala that was infected by a Shigaru's Frenzy virus, which then went on to prevent the Gore from fully transforming into a Shigaru. So it's stuck like this for the rest of its life, and the rest of its life is going to be very, very short, even if we don't kill it, because of the Shigaru virus. But while it's in these death throes, it's going to be a danger to itself and everyone around it, so we are tasked with killing it. And that's what chaotic Gore Magalas are. They're Gore Magalas that have been infected and effectively killed by Shigaru Magalas. Which is a fascinating concept. But because this is a Gore that has failed to properly transform, we get to see that it uses some Shigaru moves, and it actually can go into a Gore Magala Frenzy mode or a Shigaru Magala Frenzy mode. And in addition to that, I mean, it does get some Shag moves, and also its theme is a mix of the Gore Magala theme and the Shigaru Magala theme, which is just really cool. I like almost everything about this version of Gore. It's great. And honestly, I think it's harder than just Shigaru Magala itself. I also find it interesting that when it's doing like its wing arm slam things, the Shigaru Claw actually A, does significantly more damage, and B, actually, like, breaks the rocks where it strikes, which is kind of cool. This was a bad idea. USP mode. Yeah, once we get this thing enraged, we'll start seeing more interesting stuff. Also, this is the only capturable monster in the game that I am aware of for whom capturing it actually prevents you from getting its rarest part. Like, for other monsters like Laggy and Rathalos, capturing gives you a chance to get the rare part, whereas carving doesn't. But for Chaotic Gore Magala, it's flipped. You can't get its contrary scale from capture, only from killing and carving. Which is just another thing that this Gore does differently than a lot of monsters. After all, it's got to be contrary. So the contrary scale itself is contrary. I've never really taken a good look at the Shigaru side. Does it have an eye on there yet? I need it to hold still so I can see. I don't see an eye. So I'm going to assume there isn't one. Dark wind effect. Though, it might be worth a try flashing just to make sure that it is in fact still completely blind. Because after all, Shigaru has eyes. But it looks like Chaotic Gore still does not have any eyes. Didn't get quite that far in the transformation, I guess. I also like how, unlike with regular Gore, the wing arms break separately on this one. It's just another neat thing. And the Shigaru wing arm actually is much tougher to break because it's tougher in general. Like, it takes Purple Sharp to break it. Alright, we've got the Blue Frenzy going. So this is the Shigaru Frenzy, which gives it access to a lot of Shigaru moves. It can enter and leave this Frenzy pretty much at will, whereas the Purple Gore Frenzy is rarer. And I mean, it can leave the purple one at will too. Well, actually, I don't think it's at will so much as after a certain amount of time has passed. Where regular Gore can't leave its Frenzy at all. But this guy leaves that Frenzy with a pretty large attack that is devastating if it hits you, but I rarely even see it, much less get hit by it. Seriously? Is this seriously happening? Okay, bye. Also, it can leave the area when it's blue frenzying. Purple Frenzy, I think it is still stuck in the area until it leaves, though. Until it leaves the Frenzy, that is. And so much for this trap my cat put down. So as you can see, it's still got the feeler up, but it's clearly left the Frenzy, considering it doesn't have its arms all down. But now it does have its arms all down. Yeah, it can do whatever the heck it wants with regards to that Frenzy, really. Oh. Dang it. A little earlier and we would have actually gotten to vault off of there. Poor cat. Also, Chaotic Gore does have another thing that it can do that neither regular Gore nor Shigaru can do. When it does its Explodey Breath attack, the one where Gore normally has it explode out to the sides, and by normally I mean always, but Shigaru does it out to the sides and then forward, like in a sequence of two, and it's always in that order. This Gore can actually start with the one that explodes forward. Doesn't happen often, but it can happen. And that is a good knockdown. So I messed up. Really want to break that Shigaru arm. Pretty sure the Shigaru arm is going to be the sub-quest. It often is with Chaotic Gores. It's usually one of the wing arms, and Shigaru arm is the most fitting. Yep, right wing arm, that's the Shigaru one. So there you go. That was it going forward first. Neither regular Gore nor Shigaru can do that. But a failed transformation Gore can. Alright, there's left arm, so the only break we have left is the sub-quest. Ow. One thing I really like about fighting Gore Magala with Switch Axe is that with my current armor set, if I've got energy charge going and I overcome the frenzy, then hitting a weak X zone gives me 100% crit. So in this case, Gore Magala's face would do that for me. Need stamina. Because, like, yeah, I've got 45% crit right now, and that's gonna get another plus 50% if I hit a weak X zone. But overcoming the frenzy brings me to 60%. And unfortunately, that extra 10% crit above 100 when hitting a weak X zone does not get counted for anything. So let's make this face very sad, provided we can actually bounce off it. There we go. I see we didn't seem to have crit on that explosion. It must not have actually hit the face. Gonna go ahead and use this pit so that I can try and break that other arm. I also want to see the purple frenzy, but... Oh, are you getting a snack? You are getting a snack. Unfortunately, when he's not raging, I don't have the 100%. Also, it seems that my overcoming the frenzy has worn off, because I should be at 45% crit if I was still under the effects of the frenzy being overcome. There's the purple frenzy. So now it's in rage too, so extra crit. Oh, was it energy charge that wore off? Must be, because I'm not getting infected at all. Yeah, hopefully this Gore survives through this purple frenzy so that we get to see its unique frenzy ending move. Though incidentally, while this frenzy does have it acting like a Gore for the most part, it still does get access to some shag things. Like when it does its super pound, the little ground explodey things. Those are not something that Gore ever had by itself. So yeah, that right there. Only happens when he pounds the ground with his shag arm. Which, I mean, when Shag pounds the ground, that happens as well, so I guess it makes some sense. Also, this frenzy can be ended like a regular Gore's frenzy can. And I think that's what that flinch that we got a little while ago might have been. It being ready to end. But I'm going to go ahead and not hit him in the face again until either he gets out of this frenzy or until he does his move, which gets him out of the frenzy, I guess. So there's no real if situation there. Yep, here it is. So yeah, he spits that out and it goes all explodey. It's devastatingly powerful if it hits him. But it didn't hit me. Incidentally, Gore is one of the only monsters for whom the front legs are weaker than the back legs. There really aren't many that are like that. And I just find that interesting. Basically, if you want to do more damage to a Gore, hit it closer to the front of its body. Because the front legs, the neck, and the face all take more damage than anything else. Tail also takes a decent amount if you're using a cut weapon, but not as much as those zones I mentioned. Especially the face and neck. But yeah, front legs. Forgot to actually repaint him. But we know he is going that direction, which means probably through that exit. Yep, there he is. Oh, having another little snack. This one actually freshly killed. Poor Aptonoth. It was just trying to avenge its friend, but it got too close to my weapon and got exploded. Just couldn't let me actually finish sharpening there, could you? That poor cat. That's 2 Gores in a row my healer cat has gotten pinned. Yeah, throw it at me. Or not. I like how it actually like grinds the target against the ground a little bit before throwing it. Like it presses it into the ground with its claws, tearing at it a little, then it grinds it against the ground, then throws it. It's kind of cool. I believe we just got a contrary scale. Nope, that's not a contrary scale. None of these is a contrary scale. It had the kanji for 2 in its name, so I was thinking, oh, maybe that's a contrary scale because it's got like 2 stuff. Anyway, textures. Guy looks pretty good from a distance. Close up, it's definitely not the cleanest thing we've ever seen in the game. The kind of hairy texture they got going on its wings actually looks a lot better than that on a lot of other monsters. Yeah, Gore looks pretty neat. His claws are also kind of neat because they've got like some red patterning going on. Hey, Aptonoth, you also have some pretty decent textures. But we're not looking at you. Nope, no contrary scale for me. Oh, well. And now that we're done with the Gore's Magala, there is one more wyvern type to get through before we get to the Elder Dragons, and that's Fanged Wyverns. A classification that, until Monster Hunter World, will have been populated exclusively by Zenogres. But thankfully, Monster Hunter World is changing that. But anyway, join us next time for Zenogre. See you then, friends.